I'd like to tell you the story of Rachel from Be'eri. We met her on the fourth day of our trip. Her story is a fascinating one. So it's a long story. I'll try to synopsize it for you. So Be'eri is one of the kibbutzim that's around the Gaza area. There was, of course, it's a name that we are all familiar with, sadly, for the atrocities that occurred there. It is a fully secular community. And Rachel told us that she was approached by two fellows to help to create a shul, a synagogue, in Be'eri where there was none. To make a very long story very short, it took them a year to get the synagogue approved and up. And then after its opening, it was shut down. And it required another year to get it to be up and fully functioning. And she told us that during that time, where ultimately she remained alone because unfortunately one of these fellows who were involved in opening the synagogue passed away, another one moved away, and she was left alone with this task. She said that her approach was a fascinating one. People would call her very vocal, and she would speak gently, kindly, and softly. She never raised her voice. She did not fight back in a certain sense, but she was persistent. And in the course of those 2 years, that approach was successful, and they were able to open the shul. In the course of the years that the shul has been open, they have celebrated many simchas there, many bar mitzvahs, brit, etc. And it has been an active and functioning shul. Fast forward to October 7th, and the story that she told us was just absolutely mind-boggling. This is her experience, what she heard and saw on the October 7th. She said that on Friday night, her family had celebrated a wonderful Shabbat, and they were looking forward to going to shul for Simchat Torah and to coming back to a celebratory meal. It was herself, her husband in their home. Their daughter was overdue pregnant, also came along, and there were two other people with them. Obviously, they heard the rockets. They then began to hear the gunshots. The feed on the phones began to warn people on the chats from the community that there was danger, that terrorists were in the community. Like I mentioned, they could hear the shots. And they made their way to their safe room. We all are familiar with these safe rooms. They're made to prevent damage from rocket attacks, but not from terrorists. And hence, there is no lock on the door. It is just a handle which you walk into, because no one had the forethought or even the possible consideration that there would actually be such an infiltration. Ultimately, a sixth person joined them who fled from a different house, and the six of them remained in that house. And then they heard the shouts outside, they heard the screaming outside, they heard the gunfire, and then they heard people in the house. And the terrorists were in the house. They have 2 floors. The terrorists went upstairs, the terrorists were downstairs. And what transpired over 12 hours was that the terrorists, due to the location, the strategic location of where their house was, the terrorists utilized it as a base. And they were in and out, while most homes, they went in, did their atrocities, did their barbarism, and left. This particular home, they came back and forth, switching out, different people came. There was constant activity for 12 hours in this home. During that entire time, she is in the room with 5 other people. Needless to say, there's somebody holding the door, but we already know that those doors are not bulletproof. And unfortunately, the doors are also susceptible to other things. And ultimately, there was concern for that. But Rachel said that all she did during the entire time that she was in there was to say Tehillim. That's all she did. And here's the fascinating thing. It's absolutely fascinating. For 12 hours, terrorists coming in and out, cycling in, cycling out, constantly for 12 hours, no one ever touched the door. The handle was never touched, not once. In 12 hours, no one touched the door. The door, it's not like it was in a removed spot in the home, secluded. 12 hours, no one touched the door. It's hard to understand. Ultimately, the terrorists set fire to the second floor, but they were still using the first floor. Finally, after 12 hours, they set fire to the house. They left. Soldiers came in and they were rescued. 12 hours, they didn't touch the door. Why? What happened that they didn't touch the door? It's a nice that they touched every other door in the kibbutz, but that door, that safe room door, they didn't touch, not once in 12 hours. And there were many terrorists, different terrorists in the home, and nobody touched it. When they left their home, there was another fascinating thing that they saw. They had built a sukkah in Be'eri. They had decorated it. Their house was on fire. The sukkah, notwithstanding the fires, gunfire, the constant movement and the brutalization of the soldiers, of the terrorists during the time that they were in the kibbutz, the sukkah was untouched. It was pristine, as if they had just made it. Who's to understand the workings of a Kadosh Baruch Hu? Who's to understand this? To me, okay, if I had to draw a lesson from it, that lesson is work on behalf of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Work on behalf of Kadosh Baruch Hu in the easiest way on behalf of others. Work on behalf of a Kadosh Baruch Hu with gentleness and with kindness. You never know where the path's going to come from. May we all be zochim be'ezrat Hashem tishuot and nechamot, and may we see the resolution of this matter in the best possible way in short order.